the bay is very silty. And, you know, as a child, I thought quicksand was going to be a bigger issue in my life. Turns out it's not. But unless you're crossing Mont Saint Michel, the bay of Mont Saint Michel.
Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Chris.
I'm Kat.
And this is episode number 255.
It's so cold.
This is character building weather.
It's so cold. I'm wearing my professor onesie, so my onesie with Professor, like our cat's face all over it. That I was gifted to me like years ago on my birthday. You gave it to me and I love it, and it's like so warm, so I always save it for like cold days, and I currently have a sweater on over my onesie. That's how cold it is in our room, and we always have to turn the heat off while we're recording so it doesn't have, like, you know, the sounds of the central heating in the background. So it's like, it's just it's cold. Yeah.
I'm in a t-shirt.
Well, you just ran too, so you're probably still like, you ran and you took a hot shower, so you're probably still like
That's
cooling down from all that.
I'm coming down a little bit.
Yeah, versus I did all that this morning, so I'm cold now. But yeah, what's been up since we last recorded?
Not a whole lot. We had a pretty relaxing weekend. Which was really nice. The Browns lost in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's a nice long weekend.
It's a tradition unlike any other.
We did more trip planning with your parents.
Yeah, we did. That was a lot of
fun.
fun.
Soon. More Downton Abbey watching for our future trip because we're gonna go to Highclere Castle.
Downton Abbey is such a good show.
It's literally my favorite show.
I forgot
it's so good.
How good of a show it was because I watched all of them up until the last season. I have seen both movies, and I don't know why I didn't watch the last season, but man, I am invested.
Yeah.
It is such a good show.
We watched The Gilded Age too.
Yeah, we did.
We watched that first, and you really liked that. That's another show by Julian Fellowes, who was like the creator of Downton Abbey. So.
Who was your favorite Downton Abbey character?
I mean, Old Lady Grantham, obviously. She's the best.
She has some great zingers. I really appreciate Carson's no-nonsense approach to things.
No.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite was Sybil, and then spoiler alert,
no!
season 3 happened.
Okay.
So there goes Sybil. But,
goodness.
Yeah. Christopher, that show has been out for that episode has been out for over 10 years. So if you haven't seen it,
maybe you're not going to.
Go check it out on Amazon Prime, I guess. But, yeah, try not to spoil it, but whatever. But yeah, I also like Tom at the end, Tom Branson. Like at the beginning, he's like a bit of a rough one. Like he's kind of rough around the edges and stuff. But he really kind of grows on you as the show continues. I don't know. I really like all the characters. That's why it's like, even the ones you don't like, you like at the end. It's like they always have such good character arcs, so I don't know. Maybe that's why it's such a good show, is like everyone on the show you eventually kind of
liking.
Yeah, and they both kind of have good and bad sides. Like Mary's kind of mean, her and Edith are kind of mean to each other, kind of the whole series, but they also have their nice sides too. So, yeah. Anyway.
Big Carson fan over here.
Yes. But it was great. Watching that, relaxing.
Yeah.
And planning trip stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Christopher's just been excited for next weekend and researching. Because it's Chris's
I am
birthday.
Excited.
And
she wants to go to the Cheesecake Factory.
And Christopher's been so exciting looking at all, because the Cheesecake Factory the menu is huge. It's a novel just to get through the menu. And it's huge. Like the portions are ginormous, which I'm like, okay, that's fine. We can either split something or which Christopher's like, no. And I'm like, okay, well then I'll have leftovers or something. But it's known for its ginormous cheesecakes.
Are you going to run that morning?
No, I think I have a leg workout that morning, which will also be pretty intense because it's a lot of heavy lifting.
I have a long run that morning. I was looking up. So ever since my sister said that she wanted to go to the Cheesecake Factory for her birthday, first off, great idea. I have been scouring that menu. And specifically the cheesecakes, there is a slice of there. First off, there are many cheesecakes that one slice is over 1,000 calories. There is a slice of cheesecake, I think it's like the Oreo one that I was looking, has over 1,600 calories in one slice, and I want to say over 170 grams of sugar. I think on the sugar. I know on the calories. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's not something you're supposed to eat like by yourself or all in one sitting.
You know, they did say that on the website too.
Like you can split those.
I mean, you could in theory, but
or
like,
you can like save it for later. No, Christopher's going to eat it all, and then he's going to complain the whole car ride home about how full he is.
No, I don't think that that's true. Are you going appetizer, entree, dessert here?
I don't know, because again, the portions are pretty big, so like I feel like it might just be like an entree, like a regular meal, and then
okay,
like I might get a cheesecake and like have some of it and like take the rest home.
I need to clarify something. And this is on Eat This Not That. So like I'm not on like the Cheesecake Factory official nutrition guide right now. The Oreo Dream Extreme Cheesecake, which just looks so freaking good. Okay? Over 1,600 calories. 1,620. 99 grams of fat. 58 of which are saturated fat. 58 grams of saturated fat. 830 milligrams of sodium, whatever. 177 grams of carbs. 17 grams of protein. Got to get my protein.
That is such a low protein compared to everything else.
133 grams of sugar. And it says, save this dessert for sharing with several people. Who's going to do... It's a slice.
It's a big... They are not like a normal slice, though. They're like ginormous.
Do you want to know what Eat This Not That's recommendation for?
Oh, probably like a bowl of cherries or something.
A bowl of fresh strawberries. That's the recommendation.
Is it really?
Yes.
Well, then why even bother
Holy
going?
cow.
You could do that at home.
Get this. Get this, Catherine. Now I'm like way
like I'm
in the
gonna
weeds.
get a cheesecake because you
Get
have
ready.
to.
Because we're going there around lunchtime, so presumably we could get brunch. They have cinnamon roll pancakes. 2,040 calories.
See, I'm not a sweet breakfast person.
241 grams of carbs. That means that I could get 3 pancakes and a slice of cheesecake and have over 3,600 calories.
How far are you running?
Not that far.
Not like the 36 miles it would take to basically burn all of that off.
Correct. But maybe I'm looking to bulk up for the winter. Oh my gosh, could you imagine like if you're looking to bulk, living next to a cheesecake factory? I love the Cheesecake Factory. I am so excited for this. I really am.
Christopher, like I think it's been years since like 2015 or something.
Since we've been to a Cheesecake Factory?
Since when I lived in Cincinnati, it was the last time we went to the Cheesecake Factory.
No, we went one time in Wisconsin when we visited my grandmother because she also loved the Cheesecake Factory.
That's true. She did love the Cheesecake Factory.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I may have 2 slices of cheesecake. I don't know.
One in remembrance of Mina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one for 1,600 calories for me. This is going to be a great weekend. We have to record.
So the highlight of next week is going to be Christopher at the Cheesecake Factory.
It could also be a low light, depending on.
It'll be a low light afterward when you're like at home on the couch being like, oh, why did I eat that much? You know, like we should have split it. Like all like, you would have said all these things in hindsight.
Consumer's remorse.
Yeah.
We should definitely record next week's though after our trip to the Cheesecake Factory, so that I can give everyone the sequel.
The sequel. Well, we did just watch the Keith Eats Everything cheesecake, which I can't believe he did that because again, it's a huge menu.
He did it in 3 days, not one.
Yeah, because
you don't do it in one.
It's
sitting.
a huge menu. Anyway.
That was a cop-out in my opinion.
Okay, Christopher. All right. So what was your highlight of this weekend?
Daydreaming about the Cheesecake Factory. No,
you could tell we haven't been traveling much lately.
Yeah, we're about to go to Italy. The Cheesecake Factory. Isn't that an Italian restaurant? Maybe.
I don't. It's a little bit of everything.
It is
Like
a
it
little bit of
literally
everything.
has everything.
It is. It is the Epcot of chain restaurants.
Yes, it is the Epcot of chain restaurants. I will agree with that.
My highlight from this past week, man, it's been a pretty low key week. I would say getting together with my parents and doing some trip planning. I always like trip planning. So that was good. We also went to a restaurant that I used to go to a lot, but it's like now 40 minutes away from me. It's called the Saffron Patch. And it's down near Akron, and we went there for dinner, and I dearly love that restaurant. So that was also a highlight for me. What about your highlight?
Well, our wedding album came in.
Oh gosh,
I don't know if I talked about this. So the time that I had off of
that
work,
made me look terrible.
I spent no. I spent like probably a solid 2.5 days working on our wedding album. We've been married for 5.5 years, by the way, and we've had our like a jump drive with all of our wedding pictures in it. And we have prints around the house. Like we've printed out, we have a canvas of us on our wedding. We have like all sorts of photos of us printed out around the house, but we've never made an actual album of the wedding photos. So I finally was like, okay, we're going to do this. I did it all on Shutterfly and it looks really nice. You can pick like,
it looks gorgeous.
Yeah. You can pick like the theme that you want to do with it. And then you could like either put them all in yourself, have them just make it all for you, or kind of like, I don't know, like a hybrid thing. So I sent in like 800 photos, which is a lot. And then they kind of put it all together in like the type of book that I wanted. And then I went through and like, I did go through each and every single page and like swap out photos and do different things just based on how I wanted it to look at the end, which took the most amount of time. And then, yeah, we just got it. And it was so fun to go through it together. And it was a lot of fun. I really liked that.
It was a lot of fun. You did a terrific job.
Thank you. 5.5 years later, because we talked about it on our 5-year wedding anniversary that we needed to make our wedding album, and we finally did it, and I'm excited.
I am too.
Yeah.
Very nice. Anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, let's get into it.
Alrighty. So, I think I'll just turn it back over to you for the overview here. Normally I do the overview, but you are talking about Mont Saint Michel today, and I have never je ne travaille. Oh no, hold on. Je ne voyageais pas à Mont Saint Michel. Did I just do it?
No.
I don't travel. I don't travel to Mont Saint Michel.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know how to say have not yet.
I've never. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in unit 2.
Okay.
But did I not say I do not travel to Mont Saint Michel?
Say
correct?
it again.
Oh no. Okay, hold on. Je ne voyageais pas à Mont Saint Michel.
Je ne voyage pas.
Voyager, I'm saying the ER ending.
You have to conjugate the
yes.
verb.
Je ne voyage pas à Mont Saint Michel.
Ah, très bien.
Ah, oui.
Ouais.
I have not been to Mont Saint Michel.
Yeah, so you did not say I have not been to Mont Saint Michel. You just said I do not travel to Mont Saint Michel.
Also accurate.
Or I am not traveling to Mont Saint Michel.
Also accurate.
So, but very good. Yes, so today we are talking all about Mont Saint Michel in France. This was part of my, I visited here during my week-long road trip around Normandy that I did with my sister back in September. And, I've already talked about the D-Day Beaches tour. I think I had so much to say about that. That was such a phenomenal tour. So be sure to go back and check out that podcast episode earlier on or around the fall, late last year, if I could get my words correct. But yeah, so today we're just continuing on some of the other Normandy attractions that I got to see. And today will be Mont Saint Michel is what I'll be talking about. And most people probably know what I'm talking about when I say Mont Saint Michel. It's a very iconic, beautiful place in France.
For those of us who do not know
Yes.
what you're talking about when you say Mont Saint Michel, what is Mont Saint Michel?
Yes. I have a huge thing written about what it is because I have a whole little background and all sorts of things. But
Ooh, I'll settle in.
okay, yeah, settle in. You don't have a cup of coffee or tea, but it's okay. First and foremost, Mont Saint Michel is a tidal island. All right?
Title or tidal?
Tidal island, meaning that when the tide is low, it is kind of part of the land. You can walk to it from the mainland. And then when the tide is high, it's an island, tidal island. And most people recognize it for having this gigantic, it almost looks like a castle, fortress, abbey. It's an abbey at the top, but it looks like a big fortress leading up to an abbey at the top. It's beautiful. It looks like this little island just off the coast of Normandy with a giant abbey on the top of it. And I think when most people sort of picture that, they think that, okay, that's Mont Saint Michel. It is one of the most popular day trips from Paris to go on, and it gets about 2.5 million visitors a year. So it's not a hidden gem. It's
Wow.
People know about Mont Saint Michel.
Okay.
And go visit it. But first and foremost, yes, it is a tidal island. It dates back to prehistoric times, as you know, because when it was formed as this tidal island, it was previously known as Mont Tombe. And for those who are, Catholic, Christian, whatever, it's named for the archangel Saint Michael. And the legend of why Mont Saint Michel came to be is that Saint Michael appeared to Aubert of Avranches in 708 AD and told him to build a small chapel on the top of this mountain, or this mont on this island.
And a mont is a mountain?
Kind of like a mount.
A mount?
Not like, I guess Mont Blanc, yeah, like White
Yeah.
Mountain. Yeah.
So it's a large hill.
A large, yes, or a mountain, I guess.
Or a mount.
A mount.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's what happened. They built this small chapel on the top of this island. And then it was expanded upon for several years, being fully completed around 1523. All right. It has been a pilgrimage site since it was just a tiny little chapel. And lots of people would actually wait until low tide and they would cross to get to the island and go and visit it and that sort of thing. And in the past, it has been an abbey with monks. It has been a prison, a fortress, all sorts of things over the years. And the ramparts were actually built around the island for the 100 Years' War to protect it from the English.
Okay.
And then in World War II, even, it was besieged by the Germans and used as a fortress.
Oh my goodness.
It was a Benedictine abbey, which housed monks until 1791. And then it was a prison until 1863 until 1863, yeah. And then the monks did return in 1966. And today it houses the, I think it's Monastic Fraternities of Jerusalem.
Frat.
Yeah. Okay. And it is currently, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
The look of disappointment on your face.
Oh my goodness. But Mont Saint Michel is what it is named now, and that includes both the abbey at the very top, the village itself, and just the island overall is Mont Saint Michel that comprises it. So it's not just the abbey, it's the whole thing. Now, where is Mont Saint Michel? Mont Saint Michel is actually right next to Brittany. So it's not part of Brittany. At one point in time it was, but it is in the northwestern part of France, in Normandy.
And Brittany is
It's another region.
Okay.
It's another region. It is the furthest west, the westernmost region of France.
Okay.
Yeah. Right next to Normandy. So it's part of Normandy. It's about 4 hours away from Paris driving. So it's pretty far. 1 hour from Saint Malo, which is a pretty popular tourist destination in Brittany, and an hour and a half from Caen, which is a bigger town in Normandy. So, and then also as far as when to visit, you can go any time of year. It is least visited in the winter, obviously, because the weather's not always the best. It's cold, all that stuff. But that's a great time to visit if you want the least amount of crowds. It's the most busy in the summertime, and the best weather is between April through October. If you do want to avoid crowds, I'd suggest going during the week instead of the weekends. You can go, again, the island's actually open 24 hours a day, so you can go to the island at any time. So you can go first thing in the morning, catch the sunrise, then walk across the bridge. They do have a bridge now over the bay. Or you can go for sunset. You can go in the evenings too. And just avoid summer and public holidays too if you want to avoid crowds.
So you said there's a bridge over the bay.
Yes, and I will talk about how to get there in just a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also note that high tides do tend to bring a lot of people in because they want to see it become an island. It's not every day that the tides come in and out quite like it does in other places of the world where they have a high tide and a low tide that look, quite different. So it just depends on the time of year that it actually becomes a tidal island and, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, basically April through May and September and October are some pretty good times of year to come. We went in September. During our road trip, it really wasn't too bad. It was pretty crowded once you got to the main road through the village, but if you just kind of went up to the ramparts and kept walking up that way, it wasn't crowded at all. So, but yeah, let's talk about how to get to Mont Saint Michel. I think one of the more popular things to do is to take a day trip from Paris to Mont Saint Michel, but this is a long day trip because it's 4 hours there and 4 hours back. So 8 hours of your day trip is just getting there and back.
Oof.
Which means it is a 14-hour day. I think it starts at 7:15 in the morning and you get home around 9:30 in the evening to Paris.
That's
but
tough.
If you've got time in Paris and you say you've got like 5 days in Paris and you want to spend 4 days in the city and 1 day as a day trip and you really want to see Mont Saint Michel, then by all means do it because that's a lot easier than trying to like spend a day, get out there and then come back and stuff too if you wanted to. But tours from Paris you can either book some that are a guided tour around the Abbey as well as the village. You can do the audio guided tour of the Abbey and tickets to the Abbey, or you can just do transportation to the island and a ticket to the Abbey. But they do include transportation to and from Paris. All the tours do, as well as an entrance ticket to the Abbey itself. So thoughts to do there. Other tours, Bayeux, which is also in Normandy, you can do a tour from there. I think it's about an hour and a half or 2 hours or so, but a little hour and a half,
That's
2
better.
hours from Mont Saint Michel. We actually drove there from Bayeux.
Did you drive there and then drive back?
We drove to Mont Saint Michel and then we drove back to the countryside and stayed in that castle hotel.
Okay.
So yeah, it was maybe like an hour and a half or 2 hours. I can't remember, but if you go to a tour here, it's only 8 hours. So it's a lot easier. And it's actually the same tour company, Orpheus, that did the D-Day Beaches tour, does a tour to Mont Saint Michel as well from Bayeux. So I was really impressed with this tour company. So you can certainly book through them as well if you are staying in Bayeux and you want to do like a D-Day Beaches tour one day and a Mont Saint Michel tour the next day. There's also always the option to self-drive. Just use Google Maps. If you're coming from Paris, there's 2 different routes to get there. One from the northern part of Paris, one from the southern part of Paris. I could give you take A81 to A84 or something, but just Google map it. There's plenty of parking, huge parking lot. You do have to pay for parking, but it all depends upon what time of year you're visiting, how long you're visiting. There's a whole chart, and I'm actually posting a whole article on France Voyager about visiting Mont Saint Michel, which will have links to all of the things I talk about in here, including the parking and how much that costs. So that's helpful. And then if you do park here, or if you do drive and park here, there's a free shuttle bus from the parking lot by the information booth, and it's about a 12-minute ride to the front of Mont Saint Michel. So you can do that if you want to, or it's a 40 to 50-minute walk to the island from the parking lot.
And then the walk or the shuttle ride, is that over the bridge you were talking about?
Yes. So that's what I was going to say is there is a bridge to get over it now. So you don't have to walk across the bay to get to Mont Saint Michel anymore. There is an actual bridge that you can take, that you can walk across and get to it. Now, there are some rare times where there's a super tide situation where it does cover the bridge, and then that's when it's kind of blocked off from going to. But for the most part, I think that happens. I don't even know if that happens every year. It's pretty rare. So for the most part, you can get to the island year round, whether you want to walk across the bay or if you want to just walk across the bridge like we did.
Hold on. There's an option to walk across the bay?
Yes, but I will talk about that when I talk about things to do at Mont Saint Michel.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the last way to get to Mont Saint Michel, and this is specifically from Paris, is by taking public transportation. Through early June through late September, you can take a train from Paris Montparnasse to the Pont-au-Sang train station. That's the closer station to Mont Saint Michel. And then there's a shuttle bus from there you can take to Mont Saint Michel. It costs about 29 euros each way, and it does take about 4 hours, and they do about 1 round trip per day trip. So you go there and then later in the day can come back.
Okay.
Yeah. And then between the end of September through early June, you can also take a train to Ville-du-les-Poils instead of Pontorson. And then they also have a shuttle that you can take. So that's how you use public transportation. I would honestly either drive or go on a tour. Like I would recommend if you're in Paris and you just want to go see Mont Saint Michel, then like just do it on a tour. I think that's a lot easier than figuring out the transportation stuff. And you get a guide, like you can select having a guide. Or if you're like myself and my sister, we already had a car, we're road tripping around Normandy. It was just easier to go by ourselves and do it. So, yeah. All right. Opening times. So if you want to actually visit the Abbey, so the island and village are open 24/7. The Abbey is open year-round except for January 1st, December 25th, and May 1st. And so May through August, it's open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And September through April, it's 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's 13 euros to go inside, 3 euros if you do want an audio guide, which I do recommend getting. Yeah, and it's free on the first Sunday of January, February, March, November, December, and then during European Heritage Days, which I believe is usually in September.
Awesome.
So that's, yeah, a little information about how to pay that. Let's talk about some things to do on Mont Saint Michel, because it's not just a place where you go, you park, you take a photo, and you leave. It's kind of out of the way for that. You kind of want to do some things around there. Number one is touring the Abbey, like I said. I would recommend buying tickets in advance to skip the line. My sister and I did that, and we were glad we did because there was a huge line of people trying to buy tickets, and we got to skip the line and go right in, which was wonderful. You get a timed entry ticket, you select the time that you want to go, and then you can head on that way. Again, like I said, get the audio guide because you'll really get to learn more about the history, how it was built, what each room that you're walking in. It helps to have some context of what that is and what it was used for. And then, of course, from the Abbey, there are some amazing views of the bay and just like the surrounding land. It's really cool. Number two, you can cross the bay. If you want to go from the mainland to Mont Saint Michel, you can do that. It is heavily recommended to go with a guide because the bay is very silty. And, you know, as a child, I thought quicksand was going to be a bigger issue in my life. Turns out it's not. But unless you're crossing Mont Saint Michel, the Bay of Mont Saint Michel.
I always love that joke. I do. Anytime I hear it.
Yes. So if you are crossing Mont Saint Michel, don't do it alone. I would probably go with the guide. And I have a link to where to find guides in my blog post that'll be coming out about this.
Is that something that you guys thought about doing or no?
No, because we just didn't really have the time to. But I did see a lot of groups because we went during a low time period or low tide. There were a lot of groups passing on the bay.
And do they look like they are enjoying it?
You know,
no.
It was kind of, I'll be honest with you. I did, because like there's like a low part where like there's the road and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'll stick my feet in the bay just to say I've done it, you know, like a step in it. It's extremely sticky, and my feet were disgusting after. I didn't put my bare feet in. I was in my shoes, but my shoes got all sorts of mud, and they were just absolutely gross.
You stuck your shoes in water?
No. It was the bay was low tide, so there was no water.
I thought you said the bay. And I pictured you like you're like maybe like a foot of water, and you're like, let me see it, and then like your socks are soaked.
No, because it was low tide. You can walk across the bay. It's not just like water. There are some puddles that people went through, but I was in the mud, and it was like mud, silty clay sort of thing, and my feet were absolutely disgusting. So if you're gonna do it, wear wellies or something that's, you know, that you would go, I guess, hiking in a rainforest, wet, boggy area in. So
you said that the bridge was about a 40 or 50-minute walk. Mm-hmm. Did they say how long it would take to go over the bay if you chose that route? I would imagine a lot longer because it's a lot stickier. You're not trucking. Yeah, you're not walking quite as fast because you are trying to like trek through the mud and stuff and the muck and whatever it is. And is it why would someone choose to do that? Is it like a pilgrimage thing? Yeah. So as I was saying earlier, this was a very popular pilgrimage site since like the Middle Ages.
So
They want like the authentic approach.
yeah, so a lot of people, I mean, that was the only way until in the 2000s when they built the bridge to go there. You had to walk across the bay to get to it.
Okay.
So it was a very big pilgrimage thing. So a lot of people are doing it as a pilgrimage, or just because they want that authentic experience of how people did it back in the day. So yeah, and it is cool. I mean, you're walking in the bay, Mont Saint Michel Bay, and just a lot of the tides in Normandy are some of the biggest tide ranges in the entire world. So it's really cool to be able to walk across something during low tide and be like, wow, like during high tide, this would be so deep. You wouldn't be able to do this. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu.
In a way, but not...
Almost exactly.
Okay. Number 3, going to the museums. There's 4 museums on the island that you can go visit. There's the Maritime Museum, which actually talks all about the big tidal phenomenon in this part of the world. There's the Archaeoscope Museum, which talks about the long history of Mont Saint Michel from its very beginnings in prehistoric times until today. And that is all using multimedia, which is pretty cool. There's also the Logis Tiffin Museum, which is a 14th century home, so you can see how knights lived here back in the day. And then there's the Historical Museum, which shares the 1300 years of history of the village and the island, as well as the abbey. So there's some museums you can check out while you're there.
Did you guys go to any of those?
We did not. We didn't have as much time as we thought we did, because we kind of got there later in the day.
Oh, okay.
And the museums are only open till like 5 o'clock.
Did one... like in particular, like were you like, oh man, I really wish we would have been able to go to one?
I think the Maritime Museum would have been really cool. And I love going into castles and seeing how like things looked like back in the day. So I think the Logis Tiffin would have been really cool. The old 14th century home would have been neat.
That would have been neat.
But no, we sadly didn't get to go to any. But if you've got the time, I think it's like €9 or €8 to go to one, or like €18 for a pass to see all 4. So it's not too expensive to check out all the museums if you want to.
Nice.
And especially if you're doing this as a full day on Mont Saint Michel, which I think that's really all you need is one full day. Unless you want to see sunrise and sunset and like all sorts of things. Yeah, so you could do that. Number 4, there's tons of little souvenir shops. You can go and buy some stuff. I bought an ornament. My sister, I think, bought some little knights, like toys for her kids. So that was pretty cool. You could just wander through the medieval streets in the village and the ramparts. I mean, there's ramparts you can walk on. The village is full of cobblestones, and it's just really charming, and all the architecture is really cute. There's lots of little restaurants that you can go and sit down at and enjoy a meal and enjoy some views of the bay. In the summertime, from early July through August, there's a nighttime show or a light show at the Abbey that lasts for about an hour, and it starts between 7:30 p.m. and ends around midnight.
The light show, is that like on the side of a building? Is it like what kind of light show?
This one looks like it's inside the Abbey in the summer, because you have to pay to go in.
Okay.
And see it. And I believe they have different themes every year. It was like a millennium thing for
2000.
Yeah. Wait, hang on. I was like, wasn't it 1523 when it was? Yeah, it was 1523 when it was completed. So, I guess that was their like 500 year anniversary of completion of the Abbey. So they had like a millennium. They had like some sort of like light show in regards to that, I believe, this past year. So it changes.
That's cool.
It's going to be different this year and next year and so on and so forth, I believe. But the Abbey is lit up at night. Like you can see it.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, there's the nighttime show. You can attend Mass at Mont Saint Michel. So Tuesday through Saturday at 12:15 p.m. or Sunday at 11:30 in the morning. They just say to arrive 15 minutes prior on the Square of the Cross of Jerusalem beforehand. And then you can attend Mass if you want to at Mont Saint Michel, which would be a pretty cool experience, I think. I mean, note, it is in French, so if you're not fluent in French, probably not going to understand it.
Just follow everyone else.
Cross, just follow them.
Stand up, sit down.
Yeah, exactly. Just do what everyone else is doing. You'll probably be fine. If you speak French, awesome. Then you're going to have no problems. And then number 9 is see the tide. One of the biggest tidal ranges in the world, like I said. The spring tides are, the water can go back as far as 15 kilometers or 9 miles. Oh, crap. Yeah, I was writing that down. I was like, that's not meters. 9 miles. It can go back that far during the low tides. And it can rush back pretty quickly during the high tides. So this is during the spring tides. This happens throughout the year. just again based on the phases of the moon and all sorts of different things. So those would be pretty cool to see if you really want to see it become an actual island. It would be certain times of year where it gets those high tides and the low tides. So
that would be really neat to see the tide go in and out. Like, I think that would be a like a reason to kind of like stay a little bit longer just to kind of see that phenomenon. You know what I mean?
And that's different times of year. Like I said, like it could have been
right.
Like you could see the water slightly coming back when we were there, but it wasn't like it was not going to be an island. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool though. Like it would be really neat to do a time lapse of that.
I'm sure we can find one on YouTube or something.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm sure we could find one, but like to have your own.
Sure.
Something to work towards.
And then last but not least is where to stay. While I recommend it as a day trip, because again, I think one full day is kind of all you really need to see pretty much most of that island. Because it's pretty small at the end of the day to go and explore. But if you want to stay on the island itself, there weren't a lot of good hotels that had lots of great reviews, except for the Hotel du Guesclin. That one had pretty decent reviews. It was a pretty basic hotel, but the rooms either have village or bay views. So if you get a bay view, that's pretty sweet. There is a brasserie and restaurant, and it's probably the best hotel on the island to visit if you're gonna go.
What were the issues that people had with the other ones?
I think some are about noise or just like I'm not sure. Some might be dated. I just saw that some were not rated very well, and I was like, okay, well then I'm not gonna like recommend this.
Did you walk by any of these that looked nice?
Some of them had like hotel signs, but I didn't like go in them.
Yeah,
so
that's understandable.
Yeah, so this one was rated the best one. And then there's a couple bed and breakfasts nearby, like La Jacquetière. And this one is at the foot of Mont Saint Michel, so not too far. It has great views, and it has free parking, so you could probably go and hike Mont Saint Michel from there. It's not too far, which is cool. And then Les Ventes des Rêves, bed and breakfast, also has some great views, and it's not too far for your visit. So if you want to go, if you're one of those people that you want to be there right at sunrise to go see it, or you want to actually spend the night and go see the sunset and then spend the night, these are some probably great ideas to stay at a hotel nearby versus like driving all the way out and then driving forever to get back from there. But yeah, that's Mont Saint Michel. Any questions or anything?
It sounds really neat.
Yeah.
Like I know that it's one of those things that's like frequently discussed, like if you're going to visit France. Mm-hmm. Where, as someone who has been to France quite a few times, mm-hmm. where would you put it kind of like in your list of attractions? Like, is it something like if you're going to go to France and you don't necessarily know if you're going back, like you want to see Mont Saint Michel? Is it if you have, I think you mentioned 5 days in Paris earlier, but like maybe if you have 4, you don't do it. Like where kind of are you fitting it into your France rankings or recommendations?
I mean, it is a really cool place. I feel like, again, for me, it felt like a one and done. Like I've been there, I've seen it, it's beautiful.
Don't necessarily need to go back.
I don't necessarily need to go back because I've seen Mont Saint Michel. You know what I mean?
What about Mont Saint Michel or the D-Day beaches? Which did you enjoy more?
I felt like the D-Day beaches, which a much more moving tour.
Okay. If you have an extra day in Paris, did you like our Loire Valley tour, or would you do Mont Saint Michel, recognizing that it's going to be a long day, but which of those two did you prefer?
I liked the Loire Valley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't want to like crap on Mont Saint Michel. It was amazing. It was a beautiful place. I highly recommend visiting if you've got the time. But it wouldn't be like my number one priority to visit if you've never been to France, unless if this is like a particular interest to you. And it certainly has over 1,000 years of history. Like it has tons and tons of history. So whether it's the 100 Years' War, like the World War II, like it's seen so much, the French Revolution, like so many.
It's seen some
stuff, and there's been a lot of history behind it. So it's certainly a very interesting place to go to. I did do the audio guide tour, which was interesting. I think maybe going with an actual tour guide would have been helpful too, to get more context and history from it. But I still think the World War II beaches, like the D-Day beaches, I felt were a lot more moving
Okay.
than necessarily Mont Saint Michel. But Mont Saint Michel is absolutely stunning. Very beautiful place.
Yeah, I have never been. I'm excited to go one day.
Yes. Yeah.
I am.
Like if you've never been, totally recommend going. Yeah, but yeah, again, if you're short on time and you're wondering what day trip to go to, 8 hours round trip is a lot of time.
That is a lot of time.
Unless if you're spending like a longer amount of time. I would say if you're spending at least 5 days in Paris, so you've got like a day to sort of like, you've got 3 days to maybe see the city, maybe a day for a day trip, and then a day after to sort of like recoup and like have a slower day in Paris. Sure. If you only have 3 days in Paris, I don't think I would do it.
Okay.
4 days, maybe something a little bit closer.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I would say. Still beautiful, great place. I think it would be neat to one day maybe see it when the tide comes in and it is an island. It's beautiful. But and again, if you're road tripping around Normandy, 100%. If you're road tripping around Brittany, it's like right there. If you're in St. Malo, it's an hour away. You got to go see it if you're like all the way over there. So fantastic, beautiful place, lots of history. Highly recommend visiting Mont Saint Michel in Normandy, France. But what are you guys' thoughts? Have you been to Mont Saint Michel? Would you guys like to visit? You can always let me know. And be sure to check out the article that I have live going about this on francevoyager.com. It'll be all about how to go to Mont Saint Michel, the top things to do, where to stay, all this information and more in that blog post. But be sure to follow along, and you can always reach us at Worldwide Honeymoon on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and then WW Honeymoon on X, or you can email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.